All right, Jonathan Mingo. We've talked about him for the last hour and 45 minutes or so. But I kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. And so I always take the opportunity to try and look at these guys, right or wrong. I appreciate you guys out there for kind of hanging with me on it. I saw, before we get started, anybody want to comment about anything? I know you guys got just a brief little look of anything you want to throw out there that you saw or something like. I mean, the size obviously is a good-looking thing. There's just not a whole lot of production there right now. But
I think he can do a lot more than what he's done so far this year.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers offense looked at him and said, well, we can't do a lot, but this athlete who can break tackles, we're going to get him the ball close to the line of scrimmage and, maybe try to pull the defense, up with that. And I just don't think it's worked out very well because they can't block anybody.
Right.
So I think it is a tough evaluation, but you do have to have respect for the Panthers coaching staff that had him so far down the depth chart on a massively losing team, a pathetic offense. I'm hoping you can give me some traits here to help us be a little bit more optimistic about it.
Chief, Wooly, you got anything on that? You want to, Chief? Wooly, about the Ole Miss stuff. Did you have any Ole Miss thoughts?
Yeah,
on
I pulled up my notes on him. It was basically like he's got a strong lower half, really really thick build, right, and then good at catching in traffic. Good yak guy, certainly a good blocker, was played outside, played in the slot as well. I thought he took a little while to get going to top speed if you wanted to throw the ball deep to him. Mm-hmm. But he certainly is a guy that didn't get a whole lot of separation. Yeah, that was something
that's from the Ole Miss. Those are
that
Ole
was from
Miss.
College. Yeah, no doubt. And hey, I mean that isn't a good situation there in Carolina. So the hope is change of scenery. It's just still crazy to me you give up a 4 when everyone else in the league is like, that's 2 rounds too much. That's what's upsetting. It's not the lack of maybe Mingo can be a good player.
Right.
It's just why every time does it seem like this team's either overpaying or they're not getting return when the rest of the league seems to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. When you watch it, when you showed us some of that stuff, you're right. Like everything just right around the line of scrimmage, depending on him to get some yak. Right. You wonder about how far he is down the depth chart. It's a second-round pick. You invested a lot in him, but then they had the turnover with the regime. So now you have no sponsors in there, and you kind of just get kicked to the curb a little bit.
Yeah, I think now with no 4, you got to think about a running back at 1 because you can't get one at 4.
There you
go. You don't have a pick.
See, now we're talking. Now we're building championship football teams.
Now we're building championship football teams. All right. And my guys are right here. He is a big guy. He's 6'3", he's 220. He does play inside and out, is what he does. The club like to put him on the move. You could see this guy playing like as a motion guy and stuff.
Right.
So they'll line him up in the backfield too, and then they'll like swing it out to him, trying to get him the ball on the move, and then let him be physical with ball in hand. He's got a really good split as far as the wide plays and then his slot plays, but he's had some production out of the slot, but mainly when you put him on the left-hand side, that's where he's kind of been a little bit slot left. That seems to have worked out. He had 7 catches, mainly of his 12 out of that left slot. So I think he gets a little bit better separation though when he plays on the outside than he does in the slot. So like I say, you could use him inside or outside. He's not the quickest guy for the slot, but that big body, getting him the ball quick and then allowing him to do something with it. He does make a lot of receptions like Chief was talking about in that 0 to 9 yard range. So that's kind of, they call it short in the metrics world. That's kind of where where a lot of his catches are. That's really been the case for him the past 2 seasons. He's had his share of trouble in the middle of the field, and that's down the field. And I think that's a little bit more because his quarterbacks, the slants and things like that he runs, the in-breaking routes. Andy Dalton couldn't get him the ball. Young couldn't get him the ball, when he had some opportunity. I just remember the one deep shot I saw, I believe it was against the Broncos, where they threw it down the field on the vertical, and it was intercepted. They just can't there's just a connection. Just haven't been able to make that connection with deep balls in the first couple of seasons with him. I think he runs well for a big guy. I talked about the run after catch with the ball in his hands. I think he's physical. I think he's tough. I think he'll use his size to try and bully people with the ball. I do feel like though that there's times when he fights the football catching it. I did see a drop where he was alone. He just missed it. Sometimes you have concentration problems, and you just, you're in the middle of the field, you're by yourself, and they throw the ball and they hit you, and you just drop the ball. He double caught a ball, and when I mean double caught, it hit his hands, it bounced up, and then he grabbed it on the second. That was when he was going away in the flat. But he, that's something you probably need to keep an eye on about him.
So a double catch isn't good.
You just want to be able to snatch that ball with your hands. You want to be able to catch it, put it away. When you body catch or double catch, how sure are you with
something
your hands?
could happen? You get hit, now the ball pops in the air. You just want to get it clean.
I feel like you should get more PPR points.
Yeah,
you get a double catch.
Double catch. Well, yeah, like what happened the other day with Dowdle in the end zone. That was a double catch right there. That was a good job right with him. But he's dealt with a ton of tight window throws. I don't think this is his biggest strength. I don't think when they've asked him to when guys have been on him, I don't know if this is his biggest strength with the hands and stuff like that. So we'll see. He runs a lot of in-breaking routes. Those are the things. That's what they were trying to do with him. You got targeted about 15% of the time. I looked at the metrics. I was thinking, okay, how many routes are you going to see inside? And because, being that big guy, 15% of the snaps. He hasn't had a reception this year when facing press coverage. For a guy this big, I looked that up. I'm like thinking, how does he do when he's playing, having to deal with man-on-man stuff, one-on-one stuff. But he hasn't had a reception this year when facing press. He's faced press coverage 24 times this season, and he's got 5 targets and no receptions. Something to keep an eye on there.
You would think for a big body guy.
Yeah, and it would, yeah. And he's played special teams in multiple games. So, that's a possibility. If you're going to get him on, if he's not one of your top, receivers, well, maybe you can work him in, but he's also played special teams. So that's something that maybe Bones Fossil could use him with that big body. So that's what I saw with this particular player.
So what kind of a role do you think you would be advocating for without having the opportunity to see him play in the Cowboy offense?
Well, he's like Chief was talking about, the routes that he runs, the in-breaking stuff, the slants, the curls, the hooks, the hitches,
It's going to be much of the same, really.
It's going to be a lot of the same. But it's just how accurately can, Cooper Rush get him the ball until, Dak gets back. But a lot of the routes that he ran at Carolina are routes they run here with the Cowboys.
But can he do it? Can he do it better than all the guys not named CeeDee Lamb? Because that's the only way you justify giving up a 4 is if you think he will be better than Tolbert and Brooks, right?
I tell you what, I would take Brooks over him right now myself. I've seen Brooks, like I say, get open, and I haven't seen him get the ball like he. Now, there's been some, if you look at this Cowboy, this receiving core. In this game the other day, we talk about tight window throws. They had nine tight window throws, only 2 receptions by the whole receiving crew in that Atlanta game. And the 2 receptions were CeeDee Lamb. They've got to find somebody, if they're not going to separate from people, or routes are not going to allow them to separate from people, got to find a way to make some of these tight window catches is what they have to do. So
are you thinking at all that they have 4 5th-round picks that, hey, we have so many picks here on day 3. We can afford to take a shot here with this 4.
I absolutely, yeah. I think that they're banking on their college notes is what they're banking on here. To me, this is very reminiscent of what they did with Trey Lance. I guarantee I could ask somebody over there like, oh, what grade did you have on Mingo? They're going to tell me, oh, he was a 1, 2, 3. That's what grade. It's the 1, don't pay attention. The 2 is the 2nd round grade. The 3 tells you where is he, high up in the 2nd round, is he in the middle of the board, or is he at the bottom? If he's a 1, 2, 9, he'd be at the bottom of the board. Whereas Trey Lance was a 1, 2, 0. He was the top player in the 2nd round. I guarantee you they had a 2nd round grade on this guy, and they feel like that. Hey, let's go ahead and just give the 4. We got a guy that we really, really liked. He was young. We'll see. I think they're banking on the fact that quarterback play was so bad for Carolina that they could do something with that. And they like big body guys. That's something you look at the history of the Cowboys and how they've played with guys that have some, go back to the Roy Williams, the Des Bryants, guys with big bodies and stuff. That's how they play. I hope he does work out for him though. But like I say, the 4th round pick, just kind of 4th round pay, I think is a little steep.